All right, so there you have it, but we have to also include our restriction. So our restriction is that x cannot equal 0. Okay, so that was one example with just monomials in the denominators, and now I'll do one example with binomials in the denominator. Okay, so some of the questions will come with the denominators already factored for you, so in binomial form. But a lot of the questions will come to you like this. So when the denominators are not factored for you, they're in standard form. So you actually have to factor them first. And the reason why you're doing this is because this allows you to see if there are binomials that are common between multiple denominators, so that you're not making a denominator way bigger than you need to. Okay? So first we factor, and if you can't do it in your head, you can do it on the side, kind of away from the actual adding and subtracting, so that you're not mucking that up and making it look, busy. So you can kind of put this to the side. So two numbers that multiply to 9 and add to negative 6 are negative 3 and negative 3. Okay, now notice that could have been written as x minus 3 all squared, but I'm actually doing that on purpose to show that there are two x minus 3's in the denominator, so that our lowest common denominator takes that into account and we don't make a mistake. So this, we can factor out an x, okay, and then we're left with x squared minus 9. That's a difference of squares, so we're left with x times x plus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, so now both of those denominators are fully factored, so we can get going and do the adding and subtracting. So our lowest common denominator, we need at least two x minus 3's for this denominator. Okay, and this denominator has an x plus 3 and one x minus 3. Well, we already have an x minus 3, but we don't have either of these, so they have to be added. Okay, and I'm going to put the single x out front just because it looks better to me. Okay? So now I need to rewrite the expressions. So first I'll rewrite the expressions as 1 over x minus 3 minus 1 over x times x plus 3, x minus 3. So that's just rewritten in its factored form. So now we need to change these into fractions with the lowest common denominator. So an x minus 3, an x out here, and an x plus 3. Okay, so I have to multiply the top by an x and an x plus 3. Okay, and this one I write the same denominator. Okay, so all I added here was another x minus 3. So I add the x minus 3. Okay, now here's where you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, I'm going to rewrite this as with one denominator, okay, as one fraction, because you can do that now that it's a common denominator. Okay, so I'm going to have my denominator be x minus 3, and then I'm just going to do that all squared, just because I've done everything I need to with that for now, and that's just cleaner. And now I need to write these on the top. So I can already expand this out. So this is x squared, x squared plus 3x. Now be careful. Notice this whole expression is subtracted. So that means this negative is distributed to the x and to the minus 3. So this becomes minus x plus 3. So if you need to highlight that on your work here, show that that negative applies to both of those terms. Okay? So now you can collect both terms at the top. You get x squared plus 2x plus 3 over your denominator. All right? Now you include any restrictions, so anything in the denominator. So x cannot equal 3, negative 3, or 0. Don't forget that guy. All right, now if this could be factored, you can factor that now once you're all done and see if there's any factors that can be crossed off. But there's nothing that multiplies to positive 3 and adds to positive 2 because you have 3 and 1 or negative 3 and negative 1. So that's not factorable. So you're done. Okay, so if you just follow these steps each time, that's what you need to do, obviously, in order to be successful. So the first thing you have to master is knowing how to find the proper lowest common denominator. Okay, that's the first thing you have to be able to master, and then you're working on the rest of the algebra. So I'd like you to try the practice on the next sheet. Okay, I'm going to, in a moment here, write what the lowest common denominator is, and then the final answer so you can see how you're doing. Okay, only worry about A and B. If you want to try C, go ahead, but I'll be doing C in class. But A and B, you should definitely try. So pause the video now and try them. Okay, so for A, you should get that the lowest common denominator is x plus 3, x minus 1, and x plus 5. Okay? And when you factor all this, you get, and your final answer is 1 over x plus 3, x plus 5. Okay, you'll notice that that x minus 1 actually crosses out because you end up with an x minus 1 on the numerator. That crosses off with the x minus 1 in the denominator. And then your restrictions are x cannot equal 1, minus 3, or minus 5. Okay, for B, your lowest common denominator should have been x minus 3, x minus 4, x minus 2. And your final answer should have been x over x minus 3, x minus 4, x minus 2, and x cannot equal 2, 3, or 4. Okay, if you want to try C, all you have to do is, basically all you're doing is doing the addition and subtraction on the left side and simplifying it until it looks exactly like the right side. So that's all you're doing there. It's not overly difficult, you just have to separate it into left side and right side. So that is adding and subtracting rational expressions. I hope that you feel good about this, and thanks for watching, and I hope you learned lots.